Community Viewpoint.
And welcome back to Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pawlak, your host for this segment, and it's going to be a great segment because we have with us today our fire chief from the Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, Scott Lewis. He was able to make it here today. It's been a busy season. This is the fall season. It's around Halloween time, but it's also October is Fire Prevention Month. And like I told him, I always miss the week. I usually call them a week too late, but Fire Prevention Week is the week of whenever October 8th or 9th hits.
It's usually the second week.
So I usually get you before the end of the month. So here's Scott Lewis. So we're going to be talking about some fire prevention rules that we have, some of the no-brainers. What's the first thing we should realize? What is the theme this year first?
Well, first of all, it's having smoke detectors in every bedroom. Mm-hmm. And, you know, quite frankly, the premise is the same thing each year, but we put a different twist on it. Right. And it comes down through the National Fire Academy. Really what we want to do is start off young and educate our young lads and lasses as far as how and what to do in the event of an emergency and the prevention that's required to avoid such. How to call 911, if there is an emergency, how to communicate that effectively to other people within either in your household or wherever you may be located, and then to what to expect with it as far as the emergency responders as they arrive. Don't be afraid. Understand what the role is. We may look a little different in our turnout gear than you would see us on the street.
Right.
So the message is ongoing. Historically, we've actually tailored our program and made it a little bit more stringent because we're finding that when we look at all of our fires and the ones that involve juvenile fire setters, we're finding that they're younger and younger. And it's a very disturbing trend. Historically had been in the teens, curiosity fire play.
Yes.
We're now anywhere from 5 to 9 years old is our target range, and they're the ones that are causing a lot of our fires in the valley.
Are they getting better with not burning down the mesquites over on BLM? I haven't heard of that lately.
We have some recent fires that were in the mesquite trees, but you know what, even again, a disturbing trend is to point out that they're not even outside of their houses. They're actually starting to set fires within their comfort zones, which are their bedrooms and things like that within the dwellings they reside.
Understandable. So, Fire Prevention Month and Week has been happening since little history here, folks, because I come from Chicago. This is where this all started. It's been observed since 1922. Let's see, because of the Great Chicago Fire. It happened in 1871. It killed more than 250 people, left 100,000 people homeless, destroyed more than 17,400 structures, and burned more than 2,000 acres. The fire began on the 8th, but continued on to and did most of its damage on the 9th in 1871. And in 1920, President Woodrow Wilson issued the first National Fire Prevention Day proclamation, and since 1922, Fire Prevention Week, which has happened a couple weeks ago, has been observed on the Sunday through Saturday period in which October 9th falls. And then, well, let me get this out of the way right now. And since we're talking about fire alarms, I mentioned to you, for you to remember that the kitchen smoke alarm is not the indication that dinner is ready. I've done that a couple of times, and you want to put it someplace else where it's not accessible to the flames if you have a gas stove, or if you have electric and you have a tendency to burn things. But make sure the batteries, and that's another thing, don't make it not go off by taking the batteries out. So make sure the battery's out. And we change batteries spring and fall?
It's just, exactly. Usually when the clocks turn, you replace the batteries.
Yes.
And one of the things is most of the smoke detectors that are installed in houses now are hardwired, but they have battery backup. So the recent power outage, for example, if you don't have the batteries in, you don't have a smoke detection system that's operating within your home. So if the batteries aren't replaced or the batteries aren't any good.
So they weren't going, okay, my batteries are still good.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 floors, so we have about 7 or 8 of them.
Right.
And also a fire extinguisher upstairs in the hallway for all the bedrooms, and one above the stove in the kitchen. But there's also other things you could throw on a grease fire, which would be
smothering and baking powder.
Baking powder.
Yeah, no water.
Not flour.
No flour, no water. Yeah. One of the things that you could do also is put another fire extinguisher in your bedroom closet for the parents. And the reason being it's close proximity and it gives you the ability to have immediate access without having to travel a great distance. Mm-hmm. Garages, kitchens, laundry rooms.
Yes. Very good. Those are some of the tips that we have. Anything else we want to, your guys and girls, your ladies and men go into the schools also?
Already done. We do that during fire prevention
I
week.
missed that again.
But absolutely,
Yes.
yeah. They visit each school. They hit our target audiences.
Yes.
And we go out there with our message that I was just reinforcing a few minutes ago. And it's a great success because the kids, first of all, love the firefighters when they come out. The messages are consistent. And I think it's just a good interaction. And the kids do remember because they'll come out, we'll go to a fire for possibly an alarm system or a service assignment, and they'll recognize our people. Mm-hmm. And they'll recognize and they'll restate the message that was reinforced during the presentation. It's nice.
Oh, it is, yeah. And they have a tendency to shame the adults, the parents.
Yeah.
You forgot that, you didn't do this.
They do. They do a really good job with that.
And the parents just can't blow the kids off and say, don't worry about it. Wait, no, let's sit on my lap. Let's talk about how I messed up. Yeah, which is good to bring it up from the kids to the adults to correct some of the issues that we've had, we've let go through the years. What else do we have to think about in October?
Halloween.
Halloween
Right
is
around the corner.
Yes.
And from a safety standpoint, try and wear something as far as costumes or have the kids dressed up in things that have some type of reflective material so you can easily see them. You want to reinforce about not taking the strange candy or something that doesn't look right, it's not wrapped appropriately. You want to make sure that they remain in groups. A flashlight or little strobe lights that they now make, they're very small but very brilliant in the luminescence they provide. It's really helpful. You want to make sure that there's predetermined times and places where you'll pick them up.
Oh, definitely,
If you trust them enough with cell phones, make sure that they have one so they can call you if there are any issues, 911 and such. We have historically a lot of pedestrian motor vehicle accidents involving kids on Halloween, darting in front of cars, crossing streets, zigzag across the street, contact with some venomous pests and also dogs. And we also just make sure that people drive safely in general. We've had a number of vehicle accidents during Halloween.
Plus the weather with the roads too makes them a little bit harder to navigate through.
Especially with the condition of some of the shoulders at this time. Some are washed away, so it's a little bit more dangerous than it would be, say, last year.
Right. And let me make a special note, if you're going on, like I did, went through Amargosa Valley, there is no shoulder to the road right now. It's completely washed out. When we were talking about when the asphalt ends, there's about a 2-foot drop, and it goes that way for about 6 to 10 feet because the water was flowing in the side of the road. So be careful, especially if you're driving at night. There's cones on the side, but it's extremely dangerous, so be very, very careful.
We have a lot of community groups that are going to be holding different events, the trunk or treats and things like that throughout the valley. So look to see where those are. It's a great place, and usually they're in a safer area because there's not a lot of traffic coming through. Mm-hmm.
Anything else we could think about? We have the burn. We can burn now?
Not yet.
Oh, no.
November 2nd.
November, okay. Remember
November
that.
2nd. And the reason being is up until this past week, it's been consistently over 90 degrees.
Okay.
And so we felt it best prudent to make sure that they weren't burning because we have had some people attempting to burn, and they've already set secondary fires. So it's a key ingredient for it.
There's a reason to have the burn permits because you're instructed how to do it properly, and when the winds are less than 5.
Less than 5.
Yes, because they can get away from
They
it.
do. And one thing I'm noticing already, and it's from these recent rains, there's already grass coming up.
It looks beautiful on the side
It
of the
does,
road.
but that grass will dry out at some point, and that's our volatile combustible material that'll at some point, and they're still forecasting additional precipitation throughout the winter. Mm-hmm. There's a huge hurricane coming up through Mexico right now. It's supposedly the largest on recorded.
It's 200-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, and so that is supposed to have a significant impact down there. Now, whether or not it'll have an impact here, I don't know, but anything that kind of draws the precipitation from up south.
Well, any more rain up here is going to be not disastrous, but it's going to put a crimp in our style over here.
We had a little over an inch and over
And
several
did that much
days. And
damage?
holy mackerel! Yeah, a lot of damage, a lot of traffic, and just about anything you could think of we were faced with over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. And then people coming off the BLM land onto the roads makes the roads slippery also, because there's a lot of clay, a lot of mud that's on the road too. So be careful when you're driving, like places like on Game Bird or the roads that are adjacent to the BLM land. There's a lot of mud over there, and it might get slippery. If it'll be like slick if you're stopping.
Right.
You're not going to stop.
We're already getting calls for people who are firing up their furnaces for the first time. They're getting those trace odors, the dust accumulated on the burners themselves, and so they fire it up. They get that trace odor of smoke through their vent systems. So you want to make sure you have an HVAC technician possibly come out and check it if you have any questions. Make sure that you're doing the appropriate process. Fireplaces are right around the corner as well.
Yes.
Make sure there's no buildup in the chimneys, no trees, no bird nests or any other animals that may have inhabited that space. Usually we'll get at least 1 or 2 chimney fires a year. So we're just coming into that season now.
And remember to change your air filters too, no matter what type of furnace you have. If it's in the house, if you have filters too. This is a good time of the year to do that, because wintertime you're going to be using the heat a lot. So it's going to restrict the flow, plus you could hurt your equipment too, and you could cause a fire too. Any other tips? We got a couple minutes left.
Animals. Yeah, we're getting to that point where it's going to start getting real cold outside. Make sure you take good care of your pets, and
whether it be horses, dogs,
anything that's outdoors. Yeah, just make sure everything's good. And one problem we usually see is people will place a hot light or a heat light, and they'll put it too close to combustibles, or the animals will knock it over, and they're usually in straw and such, and it will destroy not only doghouse but kill whatever the pet is that they're trying to protect. We see that a lot with those puppies, kittens, even piglets, things like that, where there's a number of them. And the idea is to keep them really warm.
Yeah, so if it smells like bacon, you lost your pig.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of the time those little those little structures that they place those heat lights in will then extend to the primary dwelling.
Yes, and then we have to call you. So these are some of the great deal of tips that we have. This is, I missed the week, but it's National Fire Prevention Month. So change the batteries, and I thank you, and then hopefully we'll see you or someone else talking about Christmas time too.
We'll be here for you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Community Viewpoint.